Welcome to the Patriot Mouths show. I want to talk today about something really critical that's happening, which is Donald Trump has signed the Congress and Senate approved Fisa reauthorization bill, which allows him to keep the police state running, the thuggery, the abuse that we saw under Bush and Obama. And this is really, I think, going to be one of the first chinks in the armor where we see just more disappointment from Trump. And we have to ask ourselves, basically, we've elected someone who's pro-business, who's anti-immigrant in some ways, not every way, but some ways. He's still for the H-1B genocide visa of American software engineers, which is discussed in the last vlog. So Donald Trump has reauthorized this Fisa bill, and the thing you have to realize is the huge history of abuse in this. There have been the demasking abuse, which went on, and how people's names, Americans' names, were released, even though there was no real reason to. That was Loretta Lynch. And then we have, of course, the Chelsea Manning revelations and the Snowden revelations that basically everything that's happening in America is being filed away. Every phone call, every email, every website access is all getting logged and stored and saved in a massive Big Brother NSA terror warehouse of data, and these mega centers built across the country. This is not the American future we had hoped for. The argument is, well, when they're tracking a real criminal, they can jump in and get a warrant and then use it to help them. But the problem is it is real spying, and those databases are accessed frequently by people who shouldn't be accessing them. And the other horror is Trump himself was spied on, which we believe using the Fusion GPS false dossier. So why on earth did Trump sign the reauthorization of the police state? Is it really that he doesn't have a clue what he's doing, or does he realize what he's doing? I think if you look at his hiring of the generals, Trump is kind of emerging as a strong-arm figure, like Batista. You know, he's kind of like the American strong arm, and he's going to be pro the crackdown on American freedom, and that doesn't really stand with what he talked about during his campaign. So that's very disappointing for Trump supporters. I think we're quite fed up with that. It's not what he promised us. He isn't delivering. It's another thing. You can talk about his he's just getting blocked by Congress and this and that, but they have the option to overturn the 60-vote filibuster rule any day they want, so I don't really buy that. If they really wanted to get things done, they could get things done. I think a lot of us are really worried about Trump right now, and we wonder what's he got up his sleeve, just how much of a jingoist, pro-war, pro-big state person he is. And another thing is we haven't seen his budget. We haven't seen what his economic strategy is other than huge giveaways and taxes to corporations. And especially disconcerting in his tax bill was how little the middle-class taxpayer got, and also how little the small businesses got when they specifically made them less higher rates than the big corporations got, and also when they made the worker tax cuts expire. So even in direct language, the American worker was getting shafted. It's and then he goes on and says, "Oh, I need another 78 billion for disaster relief handouts, and I need 78 billion for more to make our military ready because our military is terribly under-equipped." And I just ask, how can our military be under-equipped when we've been spending $1 trillion on it year after year? And we can only really afford to have a military budget of about 200 billion. So we've been overspending on military by a factor of 5, and they're still saying they've run out of missiles. It's because how the military works. They basically just lob a lot of shit at Stone Mountains, and then, oh, it's all used up, we need to buy more. And this is really good for the military industrial complex factories. It's not very good for the budget. It's not very good for our doomsday scenario of hitting 150 or 120% of GDP with our debt ratio. America's headed for collapse. We need a tough president to turn the super tanker around. It's going to be a slow turn, it's going to be a wide turn, but the turn has to start. The arc has to shift. The arc has to shift in a lot of ways. It has to shift with our dysgenic population, basically overburdening and taxing the best and brightest Americans, throwing away our engineers, treating them like shit. There's just a post where now 71% of Silicon Valley is Indians. 71%. That's 71% were Americans that had those jobs. They've now all lost them. And what is Trump doing about that? Nothing. There was also a factory confidence report that came out from one of the feds that showed things were terribly down, which was a little bit of a surprise because everything Trump's doing right now is supposed to be a confidence game, and apparently he isn't really winning yet. The other thing is he just slapped 30% tariffs on solar panels, which is a really shitty thing to do. It's like very anti-green economy. Now, I think we should have 10% tariffs across the board. I don't think we should call it a tariff. We should call it a security tax and use that money to strictly pay down the debt and strictly have rules that our budget has to be perfectly balanced. And all of these additional fees go only for debt pay down. We're very far from that, my friends. We're very far. So this new anti-dumping tariff, it was on solar panels, I forget what else. It's really not the way to do it. It also tends to single out China, which I think China. I don't know how Trump says it. He always kind of does this ridiculous pronunciation, China. But yeah, that's just kind of aggressive. And one thing you realize about Trump is he is taking this kind of aggressive approach. I am pleased, however, that North Korea has been surprisingly silent. And I do hope that they start interdicting oil tankers and stopping them from delivering the fuel to North Korea. I think if we actually do that, maybe even bomb the ones that are coming by road, that'll send a strong message that we're serious about cutting off stuff from North Korea. In the meantime, what do we think on Trump? I mean, apparently the wall is going through approvals. They're trying. The whole showdown thing with Schumer, the Schumer shutdown was a bunch of malarkey. It's just a stunt. DACA, I don't like how Trump has been talking on DACA. That's really a pile of shit. These are illegal aliens. The program will be rife with fraud and abuse. Every MS-13 member who's 90 years old will claim that he's only a 5-year-old sweet kid who wants nothing but to pay taxes and vote Republican. Don't you believe it? They're also Schumer's request was to have no limits on how many DACAns can come in. I don't know if you know that. But yeah, they don't want any limit. So I think if he does do a DACA deal, I think he should approve, let's say 200,000 and just see how it goes. And then do a review study check on the levels of fraud and abuse, and if there isn't that much that they find, then maybe they can approve another 200,000 a bit later. And I don't think it should be more than that, and I don't think we should blanket approve everybody who got a DACA pass because we know there was so much fraud. Well, that's just a quick roundup. It seems a bit slow lately. I know Ivanka. I know she's around there talking to everybody. There's been a couple good articles on patriotmouse.com. I think you should read the one that says there are 18 million dreamers. Actually, it's probably more like 100 million, but yeah, don't believe the numbers on the dreamers. There's a good article, H-1B genocide continues full pace under Trump. And this is really one of the most uncovered stories. Nobody gives a shit. So what are we going to do? There's a rape refugee story. This happened, of course, in the UK, not in the US. Negro invaders offered free 5-bedroom house and $147,000 handouts a year, but they demanded an 8-bedroom house. It wasn't enough. It's not enough. And there's the article, Trump's most important vote, will he authorize spying on Americans? Answer, yes. Yes, he will. Yes, he will authorize spying on Americans. There's a good article on the Jewish roots of World War I and World War II. It isn't a strict Jew world order, as some extremists say, but there is definitely a strong involvement. Now, sometimes it's hard not to shoot at the target and hit a Jew because they tend to have so many of the financial positions and publishing positions. So you have to not draw too much. But when it comes to what happened with the Treaty of Versailles and that terrible treaty signed in the rail car, that was definitely a Jewish push to absolutely cripple Germany. And then, of course, the Jewish declaration of war and boycott of Germany was very serious. So it goes into those details, and if you don't know about that, you should read it. There was an Italian politician who came out and said the white race was in danger, and Lega Nord politician Attilio Fontana, we cannot accept them because we don't all fit, so we have to make choices. We must decide if our ethnicity, if our white race, if our society should continue to exist, or if it should be wiped out. It is not a matter of being xenophobic or racist, but a matter of being logical and rational. And then he got crucified, and he tried to come back and apologize. First mistake, never apologize. And he said it was a slip, an expressive error. But it was too late because the case has exploded in the country's national media. He's a xenophobe, it's the right wing, blah, blah, blah. Well, he's freaking right. In 2 years, more than 300,000 migrants have entered Italy. 181,436 in 2016. 119,310 in 2017. And you know what the most disgusting thing about this is? The Italian Coast Guard official boats were actually picking people up from the Libyan coast and bringing them into Italy. Isn't that sick? That's just disgusting. You know, what they should be doing is picking them up and dropping them off in Tunisia, which is right around the corner. There's a few ports right there. Go, good luck in Tunisia, guys. Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. So that's the weekly roundup. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you will continue reading patriotmouse.com. Take care, guys.